Almighty morning, everyone. Oh, looks like we have people here already. Welcome in, welcome in. Welcome to Communication and Connections. And my guest today is Michael Riley. Welcome in, Michael.
Good morning, Julie.
Good morning. Um, um, yeah, that's
I
not the way to start out, right?
get
Uh,
that a lot.
yeah, okay. I'm seeing things popping up, which is great. Welcome in, everyone. Um, Michael is here today. I'm so excited. He used to live here in the valley, and now he's up in Oregon with his, I was going to say soulmate, with,
She's
yeah,
definitely my soulmate. Yes. Yes. Mesdeline is here with me. We're in Coos Bay, Oregon, right on the ocean. The house isn't on the ocean. It's in town, but it's very different here. For example, right now it's 56 degrees and cloudy. What is
you
that,
know,
like half of what you guys have going on right now there in Phoenix?
we started the morning at 5 o'clock. It was 90 degrees.
Yeah, I know. I lived there for 7 years, so I'm very familiar with it. This is
Yeah.
the part of the year, this is the time of year that I don't miss it. The rest of the time, I miss everybody. Well, I still miss everybody, but um, yeah, I think it was last year I said, I'm not doing summer here anymore. So now I'm up on the coast, and we're thinking about putting together some like spiritual retreats up here just to give you guys a break, place to come. So
Oh, that would be great. Hello, Brenda from the Houston area, and Sandra from Canada. Welcome in, welcome in.
wow,
So we
already.
got, yeah, they're popping in.
Good
So
morning.
welcome in. And I always introduce people by how I met them. And I met Michael Riley at, and this was the old name for it, Your Place of Spiritual Wisdom.
During a psychic fair, I think.
Yes, I think that was one of the times, it was before, I think it was before the psychic fair. I met you before the
Was
psychic.
it? Okay.
Yeah, because I had been there a couple times and Barbara had introduced us. So, yeah, that's how I.
It's now
And
called your cosmic connection, but yeah, up until just over a year ago, when it became YCC, it was the place of spiritual wisdom there in Peoria. Yeah.
John Pedro, I'm not sure where he's from, and I know you gave me a different name to go by, so please put that in there. And Miss Harley is from Massachusetts, so we've got them coming in. We
Well,
will, we will have Victor from Sweden coming in soon, and usually when I say his name, he comes in. We do have two or three people up
say his
in.
name and he will appear.
He does, he does, and he most likely will be in, Michael, because of course his favorite archangel is Michael. So,
Uh-huh.
and he also loves Man in the Mirror. So he likes
Michael
Michael
Jackson. Yeah.
Jackson and
Yeah.
his work. So and I forgot how old he was when he said he found out about Michael Jackson, which is like, how did that happen? But he is from Sweden, so yeah. Anyway, I met you there, and um, we had you at the market when we had the market there. Met you at Phoenix. I mean, saw you at the Phoenix Psychic Fair, and Amy Landa didn't know I knew you. I mean, I'm up there talking to you. She goes, "Oh, you know each other." Yeah. So, I just thought that was the cutest thing. I wanted you to meet. Okay. So,
Yeah.
so you have a
It's a great community. It really is a great community. When we meet each other, sometimes the the thing that struck me the most was finding like-minded people. So many of us who didn't have connections. We'd been looking for them, and then all of a sudden here we are. A bunch of us were connecting, and we started learning from each other, and it became a second home to me.
and I do like how YCC seems to flow a lot differently, a lot lighter is what the word they gave me, um, now. One, YCC is easy to say. Your
Not
place is easy.
YMCA, it's YCC.
Nice and simple,
Uh-huh.
nice and easy. And everybody seems to be having fun over there right now. So, I mean, I see Amy every once in a while. She came to our market on Saturday. She stopped by along with Rachel um, from from Australia and New Zealand, um, and Elm Center. She has her new center now. So there's a lot of people, and a lot of us. Michael's not included, even though he found Tina B because of the community, but we found you in a different place other than Tina. We meet so many people through Tina that it's nice to have you then meet Tina. And we talked about earlier what you plan on doing later on. So I want to remind you and everyone here, Tuesday night class, come and see us on Tuesday night class, what we call the Psychic Squad. So love to see you there. I wasn't able to make it last night because we were celebrating Father's Day with my son. So, for those of you who've seen the thumbnail or read the description for today's communication connections, saw that Michael was a broadcaster. Now, that is some kind of business to get into.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So, how did you get from there to where you are now?
Well, I was also a Star Trek fan, and somebody had a transporter beam. So I just, came on over. I was already in the Air Force for several years when the career field for Armed Forces Broadcasting opened up, which it rarely did. In fact, I was getting ready to go in a different direction when that happened. And I had already taken the voice audition. There is a place called the Defense Information School. It's not an Air Force school. It's a joint service school. So you go to school with everybody, from all these different branches. Almost impossible to get into. We're talking about the year that I got in, they had opened it up to 4 slots for us to go into it. 4 in the whole Air Force. And I got one of them. There's a whole story there too. But the bottom line is that's where I got trained. And so I was an Armed Forces broadcaster for the last 3 years of my career. I spent a year in Italy. One of my closest friends is someone I met there. He was our station chief engineer, Kurt Singleton. And then I went they sent me to Nellis Air Force Base in Vegas for my last 2 years. And we produced a bunch of videos there. And I was on the air at a station that's gone now called KRLV. And then I went to Sacramento for a couple of years, and that was all music stuff. Got into production, and then all through all of this, my spiritual life was more than, let's say, going to church once a week kind of a life for a lot of people, but it wasn't front and center. What I realized in retrospect, looking back, hindsight's always 20/20, was that there was always more driving me spiritually than I consciously knew. And when I started realizing what was really happening, I was fascinated by what I saw. When I looked back over the arc of my life and I saw these milestones, and I realized, oh my gosh, that wasn't just guided. It was like I was co-creating with spirit through my higher self, but I didn't know that at my human level. So once I started getting those connections, it took a little while, but I made those connections. And now what my focus is helping people to make those connections. And there's different modalities we can go into, but the bottom line is helping people connect with who they really are and be that.
Right. And I like how you referred to co-creation. A lot of people feel that God is the only one who creates, the only one who does anything, that we're at God's mercy. So, thinking of that, Michael, what do you say to that since you have co-created?
Okay, so I am a father. and the grandfather. I love my children. I love my grandchildren. I love people. I cannot imagine, and as the most powerful person in the house, and if you choose to, you can hang that power over the people under you, and they can live with the threat of retribution and all this stuff. But as a father, I cannot imagine doing that to my children or my grandchildren, or even to my worst enemy. Not that I have them now, but I mean, throughout life, I had adversarial relationships. But I can't imagine hanging that kind of, the sword of Damocles, hanging over, swinging, waiting to chop you in half this way. I can't imagine it. Yet, isn't that kind of what we're fed? And when I looked at all of that, I realized there's a huge disconnect here. And I don't think that we were created to be automatons, robotic servants, do this or you'll be tortured forever kind of subjects. I think, and this is just my opinion, okay, that when God, I'm talking about God is everything, all right, but the personification of God, which we could call the creator, it's an entity we can relate to, takes all the attributes of the all and incorporates it into a personality that we can relate to. We'll just call it the creator. We can call it God too, but it's the creator. The part of us in a higher self, we actually interface there. We're always connected to the creator there. I don't think for 1 minute that the creator created a race of intelligent beings in all these different forms. And by the way, there are dozens of intelligent life forms on this planet alone, and they're not from other planets. They're from right here. Okay. I cannot imagine for 1 second that God, the creator, would do all of this just to have an army of robots that does what it wants, or it's going to burn them and turn them into some sort of, molten source material for other things it might want to create later. It just makes no sense. I can't imagine the punishments that are okay. So anyway, you get my point.
Yes,
I believe we were created to become companions to this. We are all created from the source. We all came from the same place, but we were created to develop, to evolve into a companionship level. In other words, the same reason that we have children and grandchildren is to have a family. And I think that's why we were created, was to, like our kids grow up, they learn, they become, we were created for the same reason. Why else have that model so drilled into us? That's what I believe. We were created to be a family with God. And to do that, you have to learn how to be a creator. That's what I think.
And I love it. And I love it. And I love the passion with that too. Because there's so many people wanting to pigeonhole everyone. And right now, we don't need to be pigeonholed. We do not need to hide our gifts. We need to be one with the one. Oneness is very important. And I appreciate that. And that's why I appreciated the fact that you said co-creator. So other than co-creating by having children and having grandchildren, what other thing, and what you mentioned earlier, what are other things that you have co-created that?
Well, I would call that procreated.
Well, yes, but I meant, you couldn't have done it without the creator to begin with. That's what I said.
Absolutely, yeah. So yes, the families were co-created. And by the way, we procreate in the things that we create as well. Like your show, the show that we're on right now is a result of your inspiration. It's Julie at the human level with Julie at the divine level, your higher self, interfacing with the creator at the ultimate divine level, and all of this. And you set the intention, and spirit goes, oh, let's see where she wants to go. And you're coming from the heart, and these people coming in, if you want, please keep saying hi to them, because I don't want to talk over all that. But you asked me what else I've co-created. Well, quite a bit. And where I am right now is at a realization that I actually have a mission now. And, we teach, we do things to help others, we do things to pass on knowledge. But it's been a while since I actually felt this focus that it's time to do this one specific thing and do it well. And that is to help people find their voice. And for those who haven't yet, or who have realized that they have gifts, but they're just afraid to reveal themselves because of the backlash that could happen, that's one group that I work with. The other group would be people like yourself who are practitioners and have a message, but they're not quite skilled yet in getting that message out. So that's the two groups. So help the group of people find their voice who aren't practitioners, just regular people who are afraid to let the world know who they are. And then the practitioners who have things to say and to share, they're leaders, and yet they have a little bit of trouble maybe communicating that, or they're good at one aspect but not another. So I try to help everybody in that way. So that's the mission now, basically help you find your voice. And so I co-created Open Soul Voices.
Yes. And I love the thumbnail, and I have to give the credit to AI for that thumbnail. But
That's beautiful.
and it did a great job. It said that you had to have a golden microphone. It's like, okay, give them a golden microphone. So, and that's what you're doing. You're
let me write that down. Get a golden microphone.
Yes, you need a golden microphone. AI says it.
It must be true. Yes.
It must be true. Yes. And I'm sure that's a divine thought as well, that you need a golden microphone. Back to it. Yeah, as I have a little glitch in the head right now. Anyway, that you are doing classes to help people find their voice as well.
Sure.
Correct. When is the one coming up? Is it coming up or has it started?
So, as you know, I relocated to Oregon a few months ago. And when I first got here, there were a lot of medical things that we had to deal with. So I had to sideline all of my interactive work for a while. And now I have some things back me up administratively, life things. And I'm putting together online classes now. There will be one for, I was calling it podcast training, but that's too pigeonholed, I think. Helping folks like yourself who have podcasts or who want to be on podcasts, basically helping people to communicate their message. So that will be, there's an introduction class that's like a primer and basics, and then there are the workshops that would follow that. And I'm designing that for an online interface. Also, at the end of the year, right after Thanksgiving, Messeline and I are coming back to Phoenix for a few weeks, and I'd like to offer some in-person stuff when I'm there. So that's one thing, is the actual training on how to communicate your message. And then there are the circles, the spiritual circles. And we're working on one right now for an online gathering. So it would be like a regular ongoing thing. It's a metaphysical and spiritual skills development session. So those are the two main things that I'm looking at right now. But here's the other thing, and this is the thing that Spirit really wants me to do in terms of a task, okay? I teach something called inspired spirit writing. It's a form of automatic writing, but automatic writing is trans-channeled. Okay, you just kind of let yourself write. You just turn over your motor skills to the influence that's coming in. Inspired spirit writing is more like conscious channeling, as opposed to trance when you release. Conscious channeling is where you're taking in the information and you are translating it, just like you do during a reading. Okay, so like when I've read, and I still do those psychic fairs and things because they're fun. I just love doing them. I don't hear voices, open soul or not. I don't hear, like in my ear, voices. Right. I receive impressions, and I'm the one who puts words to it. But it just flows. The words flow through me. It's like the author, I don't remember, I think it might have been even Stephen King, who said when you have a group of characters, he's writing a novel and they're having a conversation, he feels like he's just taking dictation between the characters. He's writing down what he feels inspired, and he never knows what the other one's going to say next. So you're taking dictation, and all of this comes through your higher self. It's filtered, and then you write it down. So the inspired spirit writing is actually becoming a book It'll be out in the fall. And those are classes also that I've taught them in person, and we'll be teaching those online as well. So writing, circle, and presentation. None of those things have to do with helping people get unstuck and unscared. That is an ongoing thing. I haven't formalized that. That's something that I'm waiting for Spirit to reveal to me, a plan, and that will be co-created as well. This is my work now, is helping people to not be scared of who they are.
Yeah, and this is Harley from Massachusetts. She's asking a question. Michael, would poetry come out this way?
It has for me. I would never call myself a poet, but I wrote poetry when I was young, in my late teens, early 20s. I put out a few poems, and I thought they were pretty cool. And when I go back and read them now, it feels like they were written by somebody else, even though I can still relate to them because they did filter through me, but they felt like they were sourced, I wasn't the source. So yes, so poetry can come this way.
And we have A5 Says in the house, and Rose. I did see Rose earlier. And for those of you who might have missed Saturday's live, Rose was on there. She has moringa and products, and helps people heal with desert products. For those who are still living in the desert, or those who come down and need some products, she does soaps and other things, products that help with the transition here and into the desert area, because it can be pretty harsh for those who aren't used to it. Just saying. At 90 degrees this morning, yeah, I can say that definitely.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and then we've got Harley saying, wow, I believe this is what I have received in the past. I say it because I don't consider myself a writer, and yes, I feel like it, or words filtered through me, especially at the speed they come. And she is part of the Psychic Squad on Tuesday nights too. Oh, and Kay Neeson is here from Florida. She's in too. She's on my personal page. So that's why I keep looking out to the side. That's my personal Facebook page. Okay, let's see. And we have more information in there. Okay, so we've talked about your broadcasting has gotten you to where you can, with the help of the creator, get your message out and help other people get their messages out.
Yes.
But you're still working on how to get people unstuck. And,
well, that's interesting how you phrase that.
Well, you had mentioned it earlier. I mean, those are the words you use. So.
Yeah. Okay. Then it's interesting how I phrased it.
Yes. Yes, it was.
Helping people get unstuck. Well, yes. But here's the thing: when it's something as important as this, I really consciously go into co-creation mode, as opposed to how can I make this happen? The question for me becomes, how can I serve in order to bring about what needs to happen? And this is the focal area. So we're talking about this, and then, I focus on that. And that's when the inspiration comes. But I need to take it away from what do I need to do to I make it happen, So the ego's, it's great in a serving, when it serves, when it's in the support role, when it's trying to drive the bus, that's when you start bringing it into your mind and trying to make it happen. So there's making it happen through force, like I got to make it happen. And then there's making it happen through co-creation, which is how do I serve and let this flow, not just flow through me, but I flow with it. And so it taps into this is for everything. It taps into our talents. It taps into our personality, and we are one, but it never dominates. So it has to still be us as this is going along. So in terms of how I do this, it really is kind of like sometimes, okay, what's next, coach?
Yes, exactly. And Victor Cedar Holm from Sweden is in the house. Told you we say his name, he does come up. And that is his famous saying that he's
Love your
been
name,
on.
so.
Yes. So we appreciate you coming in. And Sonoran Mystic Tarot is in the house as well on my personal Facebook. So hello, Don. Welcome in.
Wow, we got quite a lineup today. This is good. Welcome everybody. I'm so glad that y'all showed up, and I feel very honored to be with you today here, Julie. And I remember the first time you and I worked together at Tina's, Tina Escoto's Monday evening circle, which is sometimes very heavily attended. And
Yes.
I love watching her herd the cats in the room when it gets so, all the activity going on. But Julie and I have sat across from each other and done readings for each other from time to time. And I've always found you to have a wonderful heart and a great, you are definitely, you have a heart of service. And so I'm just really pleased to be able to be here with you today. And I see that you are very well loved by all these people who are popping in. I'm just looking over here at the chat screen and, oh my gosh, Sweden. Wow.
And we do have people from Kenya, India, and all that come in as well.
Wow.
And China. Also, Donna on my personal page says, Michael, I was bummed that you left the area before I could take your podcast class.
Well, you get another shot in December. I'll be back.
So you're waiting until December to come back? Are you planning on?
Yeah.
Well,
this summer, like I said, administratively, I still have several things to do. And in the fall, I'm actually going to be in school for a while. So, yeah, then we have our winter break right after Thanksgiving. So I'll be there for, I'd say, 2-3 weeks, probably during December.
Okay. Well, so instead of being a sunbird that you are currently flying away from the sun, I know there's plenty there, but you're going to be a snowbird come December. Coming down here.
Here's the thing. I live on the Oregon coast in Coos Bay, and there is no snow here.
That's really cool great.
I mean, it might have snowed once in the last several decades. I don't know. I've only lived here since December, but like right now, it's 56 degrees and cloudy outside, and it's summer. And I was talking to Mesalina, I said, "Where's summer?" And she said, "It's here." But I went inland. This was like, I think in early April, we went inland to Eugene, Oregon. That's where the airport is that we fly in and out of. And I drove her up there, dropped her off at the airport. I was wearing sweatpants and a t-shirt. I had a hoodie on over it. I pulled out of the airport parking lot. It was 91 degrees. Yeah, which is unseasonably hot at that point. But all I had on were sweatpants, and they were not the thin ones. They were the sweatpants, And I thought, oh my gosh. And I thought, well, maybe I could just drive in my underwear. Because it's so freaking hot, But anyway, that was stunning to me. And I've lived in Portland like 20 years ago for a while. But on the coast, no snow. But I am looking forward to coming back. And although I'm glad not to be in the heat of summer there anymore, like I told you earlier, last year, I pretty much decided that was it for me for summers there. But my heart is still there in a big way with everybody. Yeah.
And it's great that we do have the internet these days that can connect us to everyone all over the world.
Yeah.
That's good. It really helps. I think the only obstacle we have with that is time zones. So
right now we're in the same time zone.
Yes. That changes. Mm-hmm. I can't wait for it to change because I love the standard time. That's why I live in Mountain Standard Time Zone.
Something else that's really interesting to me. I'm originally from Northern California, Sacramento. There, this time of year, it's dark by what, 8:30, if I recall correctly, about 8:30. And yeah, here there's still people are turning on their lights by, let's say, 9 o'clock, but it's still, you can still see way down the road without lights way up 9:30. And it has to do with where we are positioned within that time zone. So,
Right.
yeah. So that was the one thing about Arizona. We love the sky there. There's just the most magnificent sky in Arizona. And you go out to the ocean here, and because I'm just a couple miles from the ocean, look out, huge sky, but it's just not the same. It's not that big, majestic sky of Arizona. So,
Right.
but other than that, I love the coastline. We got lots of trees, lots of green. So yes, but snowbird, sunbird, we talked about that too. Miss Aline and I thought, well, could we? And we might, but not this year.
Yeah. Well, and that's good. I mean, this year we have the energy has changed so much, and everything is kind of up in the air. So it's good that you have two places to go when you want,
Mm-hmm.
so, and that you are getting things up there. Oh, this is from Victor. Same for northern Sweden. It's
Right.
content light, even if it's
It means
middle.
constant.
Yes.
Yeah, constant light. Yeah. This time of year. Yeah, where is it? I don't know. Is it this way in Sweden to where you're actually light for months and then twilight for months? Just kind of going back and forth. Here we have daytime, nighttime. And Sweden, it sounds like it's more daytime for months.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if they're the same level as Alaska with midnight sun and all. So,
Yeah.
But he was saying the northern part of it. So,
well, the idea for us is to just keep shining the light no matter what time of day it is.
At least our personal light can stay steady, whereas the sun might come and go. The moon might come and go, but
yeah.
And that was one of the things that in your stuff, sharing the light as well. And I know that's what I'm all about too, sharing the light of love. All the conversations going on in the chat. So thank you.
Yeah, I see that. You have a very active audience. This is good.
Yes, they do. A lot of interaction. And I'm going to say again, our Oregon delegation is not popping up. So hopefully KK and Letty will be in soon. And I did, my first interview was with Catherine. That was a year ago. And she's in Oregon as well. I think she is near Eugene. So I think
that's right. You're late. You're pretty well into your second season of this now.
Just started.
Somewhere around like 45, 50 episodes now in the last year.
Yeah, in the 40s. Yep.
Wow.
Cool. I had 24 last year, so I'm pretty excited about that. And I will be taking next month off unless somebody wants to be interviewed and has something coming up that they need to be interviewed for. Let me know. Otherwise, I'm going to take my birthday month off to do other things.
When is your birthday?
In July, the 27th.
July 27th. Interesting. Yeah. I'm July 11th.
Yeah, I remember. I think we were born the same year as well. We won't get into that right now.
Yeah, it was 1990. Yeah. Yeah, right. It's interesting. You said the 27th of July. Are you familiar with QHHT? Quantum Healing.
I've heard of it. I haven't really gotten.
Dolores Cannon invented it. It's a form of past life regression through hypnosis. And I had my first QHHT session on your birthday in 2023 with Laurel Dale at YCC. And she was wonderful. And Mesdeline did a session with her, and I sent a few other people her way. And that was when I discovered some really cool things about myself that I didn't even know. So that's like an all-day thing. And then in my travels, I ran across there are different levels of practitioners for QHHT, and there is one who's pretty high level. She's a level 3, the highest you can go. She's been on Gaia. She's done hundreds of sessions, and she has a YouTube channel. And one day I was just, surfing around YouTube, and I ran across a clip of her. Her name is Suzanne Spooner, and she was talking about how, because QHHT connects you with your higher self, and your higher self being, your eternal mind not versus, but, and we're at the human level, and your higher self is, who goes on and on and on. And she was saying QHHT connects you to that. You can do past life investigation. You can ask questions about what's happening now in your life, and your higher self more than happy to chime in. And Suzanne Spooner said, if you want to connect with your higher self, you don't need QHHT. All you need is a pen and a piece of paper, and it's really simple. And that is what I teach through Inspired Spirit Writing.
Oh, wow. I'm going to write that down.
Who's saying this? Harley J.
Harley, yes.
Yeah, I actually did that for the first time about 2 weeks ago. It's pretty fascinating stuff.
Yeah, and she didn't tell us about this. So great. Oh, thank you, Sandra, for that. Popping the cake. Oh, yes. And Harley was saying this about KK. She must be feeding the horses. She has 5 horses. So if you ever want to get horse healing and all, or invite her to one of the fairs that could utilize horse healing, well, I'll get you in contact with her. She'll probably pop up in a few minutes. Okay, so are you going to be, you said something about doing another market. Is that?
Doing another, I'm sorry, what do you mean?
I thought you were going to do another psychic fair or something. And
okay, in Coos Bay, we actually did it in Bandon this year. It's called the Radiant Wellness Fair, and it's Mesdaline's event. She started it a few years ago, and we moved it to Bandon this year for the first time. The venue situation in Coos Bay and North Bend, which is, it's like Peoria and Sun City, they're practically the same thing. It was pretty challenging this year to find the right venue at the right price. And so we started thinking, why don't we just go 20 miles down the road to Bandon, and we used their community center. And we had 30 vendors or so, and that was at the beginning of May. I did numerology readings, and Mesdaline does aura camera. She has aura photography. And so when that was over, we talked about it, and at first we were thinking, maybe that would be the last one, because she had done 5. And then people were contacting her, and after she recovered from it, she went, I don't want to stop doing it yet. So we're going to do another one next year. It'll be the first weekend in May. It's always the first Saturday in May, and it'll be in Bandon by the Sea at the community center. They call it the Barn. I don't know why. It doesn't look anything like a barn. It looks like a very modern, very nice facility. So, but yeah, and here's another one. There's a town called Yachats. It looks like it's Yachats. It's up the Oregon coast, about an hour and a half from here. I think it's the first weekend in August. They have an event there, and Amy Landa, who founded the Medium Lights, and she's pretty well known there in Phoenix area, is going to be vending, because Amy has a place up here in Oregon, and we are also going to be vending. So we'll get to work with Amy for that weekend for both days.
Oh, great.
So yeah, we get out and do these things because they're fun. I love doing them for the fun. Yeah.
And meeting new people. That's always great.
And I usually give a talk, talk about, and it's usually about inspired spirit writing, but it's also about communicating or contacting your higher self. And so, basically just dial into who you really are.
Okay, and Harley says, I have to say thank you to you and Julie for being here today. Thus far, you have confirmed thoughts that I have had, and you have made connections to experiences. Excellent.
My pleasure. I'm enjoying this. Well, Julie, it's always fun talking with you. And you just did Sonoran Wellness Market was, um, well, for a while you guys were kind of on hiatus, and then you kicked it back in, and I'm glad that you did. So I know it's a lot of work, as you know, putting these things together. It's a lot of work, and then you were tireless during the event itself, keeping that live stream going. So good job, by the way.
Well, thank you. And yes, we'll work on that more to, I mean, it was hot outside, but everybody did great. Now, in the area we were in the Flamingo room, there isn't any air conditioning, but there was lots of fans, there was misters, and there was an evaporator. I mean, what is it called?
A dehumidifier.
Evaporation, a dehumidifier.
Yeah.
And it was great. I mean, it was cool in there. I was sitting, the wind was blowing on me constantly, but it was nice and cool in there. And outside,
Okay.
even though it was hot, it was cool there too. So we loved everybody coming in. We appreciate each one of you who came in. Amy Landa did stop by that day, and it was great to see her. We had quite a few others coming by. I think that's where I saw Amy Landa. Recently, I had gone to Soul Search, which was the week before, both days in Scottsdale. They changed the location in Scottsdale for those of you who might not have made it.
They did.
Yeah, they went further north.
Okay.
And I think the other one was Embassy Suites, yes. And this one was a Hyatt. And one great thing about it was the parking garage. It was huge. So our cars were taken care of. We didn't have to park in the sun like we did at the other Soul Search.
Yeah.
So it was so much nicer to get out and have a decently cool car by the time we got out.
I know. We did that event last year, Messeline and her Oricam. We were there in, I think it was April of 25. I had to go out to the van we had an ice chest, and here's the thing, this ice chest can sit in 130-degree heat inside of a vehicle, or 50 or whatever it was, and stay cold, because it's like an industrial strength ice chest. I was only out there for a handful of minutes. I almost had a stroke. It was so hot out there, beating down this direct sunlight. So you say a parking garage, that's a blessing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I know Soul Search for vendors is not cheap.
No.
But paying that much to get all those amenities, that was well worth it compared to the Embassy Suites and other places. So, yeah, and I think I could feel the energy difference when I went in as well. It was very.
So did you just attend? Did you vend? What were you doing?
I didn't vend. I just attended on both days. I went there because I went there the first day. I promised Cherie Ariano that I would be there. So that is Divine Light Code, I think, is her. I don't have her card right here. Is her company, and she has some great products. So I went there to pick up some new products. The next day, we did a birthday celebration in Apache Junction, which is kind of far out. And Dawn, Susan, Trish, Rose was there, Linda was there, a lot of our psychic squad was there. And we did that. I didn't vend, just organizing. And then went back after the celebration was done, celebration market. And then I went back to Soul Search. And Amy was busy the entire time.
Oh, yeah. That
All
doesn't
we could do
surprise
was wave, and that's it. Couldn't even talk to
She's
each other.
awesome. Yeah.
It was, but there's so many readers at the Soul Search, and they're so close together. They have about a 4x4 table, and that's about it.
You mean the entire space is 4x4?
No, just the just the table that for the vendor, for the reader,
Gotcha.
is a 4 by
Yeah.
4 table, and that's it.
So putting on a psychic fair is a lot of work, as you know. And we are always focused on the quality of the experience for the person who attends. Marketing is always a challenge, and getting the word out. But here's the thing too: 99% of it is, again, not trying to force something by how can I make this happen. You feel inspired to do something. It's more like, okay, what's the direction we're going in today? Which direction are we going into for whatever? And there was another event that came a little later. And by the way, what I'm talking about is not just psychic fairs. It's about life. Okay. There was a event that followed a few weeks after ours, and it was for a rock and gem show in the same place. And the woman who organized it, she's a dear friend of ours, Debbie McPherson. She posted Highway 101 goes through Bandon, north and south. And at the intersection of the street where you turn to go down to the community center, she put sandwich boards at the light right there, and it said, Rock and Gem Show with an arrow today. Rock and Gem Show today with an arrow. And the place was busy. And a lot of people came in. Mescaline was vending that day. I was coming and going. It was actually not the day. It was 3 days that she was there. I think the show itself was 2. But anyway, people were saying, oh, yeah, we were one couple, I guess, said we were up from Sacramento and just passing through and saw the sign. Thought, oh, we got to check that out. And apparently a lot of people did that. So they showed up. They built this beautiful thing, put together this beautiful event. She was guided to just do that and whatever else she did, but she followed her inner guidance, and all of a sudden they have a very well attended event. And I learned from that as well, because we're always looking for ways to enhance the promotion, but it's about the inspiration for it. She didn't worry about how am I going to make it happen. She just felt, yeah, if we do this, let's see what happens, to go with that inspiration. And that happens all the time. And the mind, this is something I talk about a lot in the classes and the circle. The mind is a wonderful servant, but a terrible master. The mind is always trying to get you to prove to it that what you're saying or doing or planning or thinking or whatever is valid before it will approve it. And it's the old thing about I'll believe it when I see it. And it's more like when you're going on inspiration, if you wait for the proof, most of the time you're going to miss the inspiration. Or if you get that feeling, maybe I should turn left today as I'm going to this place instead of turning right like I usually do, or go a different route, and you just feel that inspiration and you don't listen, you might find yourself in a mess. And here's the problem for the mind. You do listen, you do go the other way, and nothing happens. And the mind goes, see, what's the big deal? Nothing happened. That's why nothing happened.
Exactly.
So the mind is always trying to edit, filter, control what's going on. What it needs to do is be in the support role that it was designed for, to help you make sense of your surroundings, to make it so you can navigate in life. And so these things come up. Your inspiration is almost always requires a certain amount of willingness to follow in kind of walking in a kind of a faith that you're dialed in, that you can trust your guidance. But again, you don't want to be so open-minded that you just throw off all sense. The joke being you don't want your mind to be so open that your brain falls out. So there's a balance there. But that's what I think it's really important for people to understand that their mind is not them. That they think it is, because that's where you think that's where you do your thinking, but there's different kinds of thinking. And so when you're starting to realize, there's these different operations, they go, well, why is it so hard? The mind, well, here's why. It's because we are here to have a human experience, and human experience is full of all kinds of stuff, that we need to do. And learning how to balance the mind in a denser energetic environment like we are here is part of the reason we came here, so that we would learn how things work to make us better at creating as we grow, as we go through eternity.
Yes. And to me, that ties right into your inspired writing,
Yeah.
even because it helps you open your mind to the right things, not open it so much that your brain falls out. No, but that it balances things, because a lot of people talk about the mind versus the ego. So, what would you say on that, the mind versus the ego? You've talked about the mind.
Well, the
So, where,
ego comes from a standpoint of needing validation. And by the way, I am got to say, I do not have a degree in psychology. I'm certainly not a counselor. And if you're having mental challenges, any kind of difficulties, anything that is stressing you, anything that is, shaking you up, don't be afraid to ask for professional guidance. And if you're not comfortable with the first one you get, keep going. You'll find one. We could all use a little bit of help sometimes. So I don't want to say that the mind or the ego need to be put in their place. I don't mean it like that. We're talking about balance, right?
exactly.
It's
Yes.
about balance. And so these are necessary things to function in this human existence that we're having. Without your mind, good luck, you know. And the ego is to help you get motivated. It helps you be satisfied. Having desires and choices is part of the human experience. Um, but at the same time, needing things to be a certain way is an out of balance. When you're trying to push for something, or you get inspired to follow a path, and then it's, how am I going to make sure this happens? Or I'm afraid, this is a big one, I'm afraid to love that person because I might lose them. And so you're afraid to love because they might go away. And so you don't let. There's an episode of Frasier where he confronts
Yes.
that. It's actually funny. But that's what we do to ourselves. We deny ourselves the richness of life because we're afraid of the consequences of that expression of whatever that is. This is where Open Soul Voices comes in. And I don't mean to label it. It's just a name that Spirit gave me to use. But what we're talking about here are people, and this is everybody at first, or almost everybody, unless you came in really enlightened and you stayed conscious from a young age, you're going to go through a process where if you're waking up in this lifetime, you're going, oh, what's that intuition thing? Or, you think about somebody and your phone rings and there they are. And, those little things that start the investigation as to, hey, what else is happening here? You start realizing that you know things and you don't know why you know them. You're dialing into things that are happening and you don't know where that's coming from. You're psychic to a degree, but you don't want to admit it to yourself because that's the devil and, the horrible consequences. And you certainly don't want to admit to your family at Thanksgiving that, you received a message from a deceased person and it was a very valuable thing and it was wonderful and it changed your life. And they're all holding up, this and telling you, you're evil or whatever. So here's what I want to say about that particular example. I would not be with Mesdaline right now, who's the love of my life, who is my soulmate. And I didn't believe that, in the twin flame thing. I don't really know anything about that, but we belong together and we've been married before. It was there in Arizona 3 years ago. It was one of those nights that it was over 100 degrees after midnight. Okay. And while I was there, I was living in a fifth wheel up in Sun City. Both of my air conditioners were out. So I'd gone and bought a portable. I had it on the, in the living room, and I was sleeping on the floor in the living room because that's the only way I could even get close to cool that evening. It was like 3 o'clock in the morning, and I hadn't been thinking about anything. Other than just trying to get through the night. And all of a sudden, I said earlier, I don't hear voices. Here's the exception. I heard 2 syllables that night lying there. I heard, find Mez. Mesdaline is her full name, short Mez. Find Mez. And it was in the voice of my teacher who had passed in 2017. Now, I told you I don't hear voices, so it is a rare exception, but I recognize the energy. I know her, and she doesn't have to talk to me from the great beyond or from next door as she's walking around. That's not how I function. That was an exception that night. And she's sent me messages from time to time. But find mez, 2 syllables that changed my life. And if I'd gone, I must just be having a, heat experience here. I hadn't thought about mez in a long time. Oh, well, I'll, whatever. Instead, I picked up my phone. Now, how many people are named Mez Deline, right?
Yeah.
I found her instantly. And so I sent her a text message, and the next morning she sent one back. And here's the thing. She was living up here in Coos Bay, Oregon, 1,300 miles away. Okay. Or 12 or 1,300. Anyway, she was here. She was living here at the time. And of course, me being there. And she said, well, I just happen to be in Arizona right now. She was visiting her best friend in Tucson. And we're going to be in Sedona. And you want to get together and, reconnect. So 5 days after the Find Mez, we were sitting in a very beautiful environment outside. It's this wonderful resort hotel and reconnecting. And we only reconnected as friends because we'd known each other years earlier. And for the next year and a half, we just stayed in touch as friends until one night she was visiting and sitting on the couch across the room from me. And she just looks at me, and she's in the couch and I'm sitting at the chair kind of like, 90-degree angle to where she was. And she just looks at me and smiles, and she goes, pat, pat, pat on the couch, like, come sit next to me. And I sat next to her and looked at her, and we went, holy crap, we're soulmates.
Wow. I love that story. I mean,
Find Mez, 2 syllables in the middle of the night. If I had not listened, if I had needed to validate, oh, that's just my whatever. But that's what we do to ourselves. Yes. And so I help people. You need to vet these messages, of course. You don't just act on everything you get metaphysically. But this is what I'm talking about is your guidance is always there. Mm-hmm. Are you going to listen to it? Are you not? Are you afraid? I'm not telling people once you realize you have a gift, you need to go announce it to the world and like come out of the spiritual closet. But start taking steps. And I was set on that path with an event, and we can talk about that if you want. But that's where I'm coming from in general, just about on every front now. Don't be afraid of being you. You are you. You might as well be that.
Right. And there's so many people who are themselves, but they're afraid, and they feel they are not validated. They're not accepted. But there's only one person who can validate you. There's only one person who can accept you. That's you. And you're saying hide your gifts, but they don't even see themselves. I think that's where the biggest deception.
That's the fear. Yeah, that's the fear. By the way, I'd just like to send a little shout out to someone who's been making comments here. Hello, Edward. Yes. It's good to see you here with us today.
Yep.
He's one of my brothers. I love him, and so glad that you could make it today.
And he's here. Mesa. He gets between Mesa and Peoria. I don't know where he's at any time. And sometimes up in not Queen Creek, Cave Creek. So yeah, he's.
Could you please put up that comment from Sandra? Yeah, there's Edwards. Yeah, right. Be who you're truly meant to be. But yes. Sandra says, we talk ourselves out of our divine messages. Absolutely.
Exactly.
Absolutely. We do it all the time when we go unconscious, when we give up our power. Again, it's not about getting in people's faces and saying, this is who I am and you got to accept me. It's about you not being afraid to be who you are first. You can just take it a little step at a time, but we shut down out of fear of simply what happens to me if my boss finds out that I went to a psychic fair. We have freedom of religion, I guess you could say, in this country. We can do whatever we want to do, as long as we're not hurting anybody or breaking the law. Afraid. I liken it to where the gay population was, let's say, 50 years ago, where you didn't admit it at all, or you could lose everything. And it's that same kind of fear now with if it's acceptable spirituality, what church you go to, that's one thing. But if you come out and say, I'm a psychic medium, and you're a lawyer at a reputable law firm, Oh, in fact, let me tell you a real quick story about that.
Okay.
My mentor was the president of the Arizona Dental Hygienists Association back in the day. She moved to California. She was spiritually called to move to California, and she got involved in the association here. And she was the president-elect several years later. They go through a rotation. Big organization. And the year before she was going to become president, Spirit called her out and said, "You're okay." And she resigned from, I think we have a disconnect.
No, we're good.
Okay.
We're good.
I'm going to.
Okay. He's having difficulties with his internet, but it keeps glitching. He's going to come back in just a second. We had this earlier. It seems to happen at the same time at the top of the hour, or right before the top of the hour. So yeah, he'll be back in just a second. I'll be ready for him when he comes. And we will be getting ready for questions. So please put your questions in. And when he gets back, we'll take a minute break, and then we'll be back. Hopefully we can. No, it's taking him a few minutes. So I don't know if he's going to try and get a hold of me on my phone or not. We were doing that earlier. So we got crazy things going on. Technology, gotta love it. Yes. So working on a couple things at the same time. Working on it. He just said he's working on it. So he'll be right back. Like I said, at the top of the hour, just before we came on, it was glitching as well. So I have a feeling in the area, some people are using more internet. It happens around here sometimes because the internet, too many people are using it. And I've got my phone on right next to me to make sure everything's okay. So, yep. Just letting you know. But please post in your questions. You too, Edward, and thank you for coming in. We're in the shadows of Mercury retrograde. I wasn't sure if we were pre or post shadow or where we were, but I know it's Mercury retrograde fun that we're having. So I appreciate that. And Peter, hope everything you're doing okay. If you have a specific question, because I know you provided a lot of information earlier, which is fine. I still have it for the most part. If you have a specific question, please post it. Okay, so he's working on getting on his laptop right now, I think, or recycling my laptop. So he is in the process, but please post in your questions. Retrograde starts June 29th. Okay, so we are pre. Okay, got it. Pre-shadow Mercury retrograde. And when Mercury is in Leo, even retrograde or not, that's where I shine. But it's his internet right now, unfortunately, in Coons Bay. It sounds like a beautiful place to be, and I've heard of it before. I just haven't been up there. And we haven't seen KK yet, so please get her in. Is this a dream? Yeah, indeed. I'm now partnering with Scottsdale Hypnosis as a location to do my sessions where I do. Oh, cool. Well, congratulations, Edward, from her with it as well, trying to get clients in. I'm also trying to decide where to move to. Oh, okay. Sounds like you've got a busy time. Okay, thank you for that. And he's back? Well, he's back. There he is. Okay. I'm going to move him around. You're sideways, and we can't
Okay.
see you.
How's that?
That's much better.
Okay. Oh, dang it. I cut you off. Hang on. I'm getting there.
Hello?
We are experiencing technical difficulties. Please stand by.
And this is from Edward. So he's now partnering with Scottsdale Hypnosis as a location to do my sessions. Where do I, from her with it as well, trying to get clients in. I'm also trying to decide where to move. So that was Edward's last message. So I want to make sure you saw that when you came in so you knew what was going on.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry about the foibles. It's the internet here can be a bit challenging at times. It's usually pretty steady, but today I seem to be having trouble. So I've just gone over to the phone that I'm on right now, and this would be the Verizon, regular phone, not going through the internet, not going through Wi-Fi.
Okay. Then you should be steady for a while.
But yeah, Mercury retrograde. Yeah, sorry about that. Mercury doesn't listen to me very often, but sometimes,
Okay, we only have one question so far. It is time for questions and answers. We have a lot of people on, but only one person posted a question. And John Peter, please post a question that you want answered, because I know you've been putting a lot in here. So this is from Victor. Is it rainy or cloudy? Is what Edward asked.
It's cloudy today, and but it's rainy this time of year. We do get rain. We get a lot more rain than you do, but it's not. Actually, we have a nice little microclimate here in the Coos Bay area. So yes, it's nice and green, but it is not dreary. This is when I lived in Oregon 20 years ago. People would say, "Oh, I would never live in Oregon. You get SADS, that syndrome you get when it's never sunny." And I was living in Portland even at the time, and I said, us Oregonians actually like it when you Californians think that way. SADS is what happens in Seattle, not Portland, And down here on the coast, it's even milder, but it's kind of like Hawaii. Hawaii, when you look at the city data website for the annual weather in Hawaii, you'll see a graph. It goes January through December, average daily temperature, 80, 80, 80, all the way across. And most cities, it's like January, the temperature's down here, and then it goes up to the summer and then back down to December. But here in Oregon, it's a lot more stable than that. We have lots of 60 and 65 degree days in the winter and in the summer. But July and August, it's more like mid 70s, I guess, mid 60s to low to mid 70s. And not a lot of rain. But come on up here and experience it for yourself. It's beautiful.
Yeah. And when you guys do another, when Amy does hers or you do your markets or psychic fairs, let us know ahead of time.
Okay.
So we can.
We have Galhat's coming up in August. That's the next one. I mean, Amy will actually be there. So yeah, looking forward to that one. I just sent off the vendor application and fees the other day.
Oh, okay, cool. That's great.
Well, Mesdeline and I both will be vending at that one.
Great. And we'll see. And like I said, we have people in the area too in Oregon. Oregon's not that small of a state, people. I know people think, oh, it's probably like Massachusetts. No, it's not that small. States are much larger out here. Okay, so yeah. Victor's question is, what do I need to know for highest best good for me?
That is the wisest question people ask during readings. That rather than, who's my soulmate, where's my money, whatever. Saying what is for my highest and best good is actually the best approach. It's the wisest question you can ask. And the answer to your question is to ask the question with sincerity and a true willingness to listen to the response. That's what you need to know, is that you are actually already asking the right question. Here's the thing. We're always thinking, oh, I need the answers. No, you need to be asking the right questions. That is an excellent one. If you're asking about what's most important for me, you could sit down with your journal or just with a piece of paper and make a little short list. What am I most passionate about? Most passionate about. And just write down what comes to you. Pay real close attention to that. By the way, 1 hour, 11 minutes, and 11 seconds. We just passed in this interview. So,
Wow.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I see that too. And I think it's getting ready to be 1 more minute. It will be 11:11 in Central Daylight Time. Okay, so he's on the right path. He's asking the right question.
People have trouble digesting that answer, I know, because it's like, wait, I need to know the answer. What I'm saying is you're asking the right question. That is the path. That is how you find out. Because as Julie said earlier, everything is inside of you. The creation is inside of you. It all comes through you. And you are you at the human level, and you are you at the soul level, the higher consciousness level. And what you can do in this lifetime is work on developing that communication so that you are more consciously aware of what's happening in your supraconscious, your higher mind, to establish a good dialogue for that. That's what I teach in the Inspired Spirit Writing. That's what QHHT practitioners do, is to help uncover that connection. And once you realize that there's more to you than just your human experience, there's a limit.
I believe there's no limit. That's just me.
Well, there you go. It's a big sky.
Yeah, but there's.
No, I don't just mean the Earth sky. I mean, it's a funny thing. The universe, when I was growing up, the theory was it was 13 or 14 billion years old. Well, then we had Hubble. Now we have the James Webb telescope, and we're realizing, oh my gosh, it's at least 25 billion light years to the farthest, and that's what we can see with James Webb. And they're saying, I think it's a lot bigger than that. That's the sky's the limit. Well, okay, that's the sky. I can deal with 25 billion light years. Well, no, I can't. I don't even know what that is. It's just a lot. It's a long way. It's a lot of real estate.
Right. And I'm going back to what you said as far as what we were told when we were younger, that there is a limit to it. No, there really isn't a limit to it, to the sky. But our sky, what you see, you think that's the limit. No, the limit is so far beyond your sight.
Yes, absolutely true. Yep.
So question, I have a mental evaluation today, hoping after this I'll be able to get Social Security disability income. Hopefully it doesn't go to court. And this is Edward.
Okay. I'm not sure what the question is, though. Well, I don't think it's a question. It's a statement.
Okay.
Well, Edward, I've been watching you for a long time, and I think that what you're going through right now is a period of I'm hesitating because I know Edward personally, and I'm not going to reveal personal things about him, but I'm just going to say, Edward, you are on a phenomenally powerful path in this life. Edward is a highly advanced spiritual being who had to cram himself into a human form, who remains connected at a much higher level consciously than most of us ever achieve in our human forms. Now, when we're done with being, done with the human lifetime, we reconnect, we're there. But Edward is living that high-powered experience. So I think you just follow the system, but don't resist the process. This is an important process for you to be going through. And you've been doing well. It's just, I think you're resisting some things. You're resisting the process itself. You're being moved on. And I don't mean that generically. I mean, you are being moved from where you've lived, the circumstances you've been in, and you've been being shown what it's time to let go of, and you've had a hard time letting go of some of those things. Once you do, I think things are going to adjust for you. But it's hanging on to what no longer serves you. So, same thing. Ask what is for your highest and best.
Yeah. Exactly. And then he asked what is for my highest and best. So, yeah.
Again, it's to ask the question, but be willing to hear the answer. You are wonderful at giving. I will say this: you suck at receiving.
And that's
I say that with pure love.
Yes.
But ask your friends to help you to learn to receive. One at a time. I know you are always there. You're always participating. But just know you're worth the change, and the changes keep being presented to you. Don't keep trying to hang on to what doesn't serve you anymore. Yeah. You're welcome. He says, got it. Thanks, bro. You're welcome.
Yeah, I love it too. Okay, and now, okay, this is from Rose. I didn't read the whole thing.
Let's see. I can barely read it because I'm on my phone now, but it says, I've often talked myself out of my divine messages until now. That's what the mind does. So important to have a community to help with this. What can I do to improve my clair gifts? I have a knowing and feel good about it. What can I do to improve my clair gifts?
Yes, she has a little bit more.
Oh, there's more beyond that? Good and bad energy, it can be overwhelming. So you're talking about a couple of things here. You're talking about developing, and you're also talking about discernment, which is something, it's also a skill set to discern. There are some development circles, and the one that I would first recommend is Tina's. It's every Monday in Tempe. It's over by the airport. And Julie can give you more information. Julie and I have attended those circles several times at the same time. But that would be the skills development. It's also fun to go do that in a circle group. And I'm going to have one online pretty soon. As far as discernment goes, that is a matter of sitting with your inspiration. I recommend highly that you start writing. People think journal, they think diary. I got to write down today I did this and that. Just write. Just get a cheap notebook and a pen and start writing. Write down your feelings. Write down you could ask yourself questions like, what really matters most to me here? What am I most about? We talked about this a little earlier. Ask yourself, they sound like hard questions, but they're really not. They're essential questions. And how do I tell something is valid when it's my ego or my mind? And that would be fear-based. And I'm just going to give you a little hint. When something is right for you or not right for you, whether it's coming from spirit or from fear, if it's from fear, your energy is going to go, and if it's from spirit, it's going to go. Now, I made it sound a little dramatic there. That would be like a big illustration. It's always much, much more subtle than that. But you need to pay attention to what is truly happening inside of you. You can feel all of it. None of it is denied you. Just learn to feel it and acknowledge it, and then tell the mind, you be quiet. I want to understand what's going on, not have you explain to me what you think I need to be looking at. The mind is always trying to package things. You need to set it aside and just go, how do I feel? Have you ever heard the expression, I think I feel this? That's because the mind's kicking in and going, I'm going to talk for the heart. And by the way, the heart has its own mind. Scientifically proven. It's got what do they call them? Engrams. It's got its own mind. Your heart is where your truth is.
And that's why we say speak from the heart.
Yep.
Okay. And she says, perfect. Thank you so much. And that's Rose.
My
Okay.
pleasure.
And next we have from Kenya, Great Quartz.
From Kenya. Who is this from Kenya?
Great Quartz is
Great Quartz.
is the name on the thing.
Okay.
She's given us her real name, but I forgot what it was. And hello, Jess. Welcome in. Yeah, put that on there too. Okay. So she's added to the list. So do you have a specific question, Great Quartz? GQ? No, she's not popping in right now because there is always a delay. And we know that. We do understand that.
Kenya's a little ways away. Yeah.
Yeah, slightly. But she just come in. And Jess from Tennessee, who goes on live at night, on Friday nights with Bonnie on Friday night live happy hour, and then Sunday mornings on Psychic Sunday. That is Jess. She's in. So if you guys have a question, who else has a question? Because the last one we have to add to the list, what that asked to be added to the list was Great Quartz. So does anyone else have any questions?
I'd like to make a suggestion for questions, and that is the center of the topic today is the fear that we experience in being who we truly are, the fear of the retribution, the rejection by the boss or the family, having to keep to yourself who you really are, to not rock the boat, not upset everybody's knows religious people. And, I started as a fire breathing, way back when I was young. And so there's a lot of judgment out there in the world, and people are afraid of the retribution of that. And so if I may suggest that if you're dealing with something that is holding you back, I will never be one to say, well, you just need to confront it and go tell the world this is who I am. I would never say that, because there are consequences if you go and get militant about it. And besides, Spirit doesn't want you to do that either. So how you go about that, or things that are keeping you from being able to comfortably, authentically express who you are. And here's why it's so important, Julie. This is so important. Every one of us has something to say that somebody needs to hear. And if we're afraid to say it, how are they going to hear it? That's why we need to overcome that fear, even if it's only one person in a whole lifetime. Years ago, I was resistant to writing my first book. And I had a friend who said, I was still stuck in that, who am I to do that thing? That's also ego, by the way. It's a fear, it's ego. Who am I to write this? I'm just a guy. And my friend said, if somebody 50 years after you die runs across a copy of your book in an old, dusty, used bookstore, and it falls open to a page that has one sentence that communicates exactly what they want to hear, it will have been worth it. We don't control the quantity of our messages or who gets them, or we don't need to do any of that. Just follow your heart, follow your passion, and you'll be going in the right direction for you.
And just asked to be added. So I've got her on, but I'm asking her what her question is, since you were just saying what they needed to. And Sandra put this on. So Jess, please write your question. And I did want to go back to what Victor had posted. And he did this twice. And that is collective cards, because he pulls cards, came up before was the Fool and the Sun. So remember, the Fool is take the leap of faith. And what you're saying is to know yourself, but not be militant about it. And
It's about, Julie, it's about just beginning to.
yes,
You don't have to do anything extreme. You don't have to march into work and say, hey, everybody, this is who I am. That's what I meant by militant. This is who I am. It's what I do. Just
exactly.
deal with it, But to begin to face the fear, to begin to let yourself express, even in the privacy of your own home by yourself, who you really are without being afraid of some sort of a retribution. You are who you are. That's true. It's your truth. It's who you are. Begin there.
This is from Harley. Do you believe that negative esoteric experiences from the past lives can block us in this lifetime? If so, how do we take care of these blocks?
Of course. We're going through, there are different terms for it, wheel of karma, whatever, but the influence of past lives in this life, we're talking about retributions and tit for tat and all that kind of stuff. We're talking about balances. And it's about, there's an old expression, the lesson will be repeated until it is learned. Okay. There's a new expression, the lesson will be repeated until you can laugh at yourself. Because when you're going through these things and you have influences from this life, you have influences from your past lives, that is because there is an unfinished piece of business that you have with you. It's not unfinished with someone else, the other players in your life, the other people who play roles in your life. Yeah, there needs to be a balance struck there too. But yes, absolutely specified negative esoteric experiences. I would just say any experiences throughout your existence, your soul's existence. They're going to inform you. You learn things where you learn them, and you use them as long as they're useful. And when it's time to let them go, you let them go. It might be 5 lifetimes that you do one thing, or it might be 5 minutes in one lifetime that you do one thing. But when it's no longer serving you and serving your purpose, you let it go. And sometimes it does take multiple lifetimes to do that.
And just to follow up with what you were saying, if our DNA carries multiple gifts, some that we may not be aware of, how can we awaken the unknown or find out that we carry more gifts? Thank you.
By asking. I don't mean to be flippant, but really it's that simple. And it helps to have a format to ask these kinds of questions. A lot of people will go to insightful people. Julie is a wonderful reader, so and I think I'm pretty good at reading too. And so someone may come and say, "Hey, what's my path?" One of the biggest questions I used to get as a reader, I don't so much anymore. I think it's because of the energy I put out, but is, where's my soulmate? Do I have a soulmate? In the same fulfillment. They're wanting to be sure that they're making the best use of their lives. They want to, love is one of the most fulfilling things you can do. And by the way, in answer to that question, the answer is you stop looking. That's how you find your soulmate. You stop trying to find your soulmate. Anyway, so, but yes, what you do is you find a format where you can ask the question. Does your DNA carry multiple gifts that you may not be aware of? Yes. Write it down. Pick up your pen. Write it down. Ask, what might I not have noticed yet? What is best to know about myself right now? And then you can write down a little thing. What am I most passionate about? And then you follow that. Don't think it. Because once you start thinking it, you cut it off, because it's like, well, I shouldn't think about that. I should be thinking about, I'm in my 60s and I'm not ready for retirement. My passion should be money, or whatever. Don't do that. That's not how you'll find your truth. So you ask the question, but you write down your question. What do I need to be aware of? I'm not kidding. There is so much power in the pen on a piece of paper and a sincere question. Clear your space, close your eyes, clear your space, ground yourself, ask for the divine guidance to be clear in a way that you can easily understand it, not complicated, not, full of cryptic, responses, and nobody else has the answer to these questions, only you. They will come through your higher self. Your higher self never leaves you, is waiting for you to ask these questions. And spirit resides in all different levels. There's this thing about 3G and 5G, and that's fine. But your higher self is like your eternal self. It's who you are and will be as you go. Everything that matters, everything that we deal with spiritually, metaphysically, is monitored and guided by the higher self. This is something that isn't widely taught yet, but your own higher self arbitrates or manages everything that comes through. And so your connection to your own higher self is the thing that you want to find. And the easiest way to get started with that is with a pen and a piece of paper. And if you're interested in actually talking with your higher self and hearing and seeing things that you haven't seen before, find a good QHHT practitioner, quantum healing hypnosis technique. Find a good practitioner and do they're a day-long appointment. You will be amazed at what you discover about yourself. And then you could take it to a journal now that you made that contact. All you got to do is say, hey, I'm ready to talk. And your higher self gets excited, extends that, that there's a gap between the human level and the higher self. There's a whole story as to how that gap got created in the first place. But when you say, I want to know, your vibration goes up and your higher self goes, oh, okay. And here's the contact. Now there's that overlap and you can communicate. That's where your answers are.
Okay. Thank you. Hope that helps you, Harley. And
thank you for the question.
Jess has two parts of this. I've been feeling stuck in career. I've gotten through a lot of things and took my power back, but I still find myself hesitating. I fear not being good enough or looking like a fool. Hold on, I got the next part is I don't like to show my face in readings or speak, and I need to get over that seeing as I go live twice a week.
So what are we looking at here?
Okay, hold on, before you get started. Okay. Remember, he's having a class soon. Just want to say that. Go ahead.
Julie, restate the question for me.
Okay, from the beginning?
Just restate it. Yeah, don't reread it. Just restate the question.
Basically,
tell me what.
She is feeling stuck. She's taken her power back, but she is in fear of not being good enough or looking like a fool. And she doesn't like showing her face.
Okay. Are we speaking literally showing your face? Okay. You don't have to answer this. I'm just saying that this is a question that I would ask. What exactly is the fear here? Okay. I can also tell you right from the gate, what you're experiencing is so common. You have just articulated the core issue, and that is you've taken your power back. Good for you. You're farther down the line, or I should say further down the line than a lot of people are who are experiencing that fear. You know these things are true. You know they're real for you. And yet there's a part of you that is just like, I don't want this to get out. I don't want the world to see this. What if? And you do the what if thing. There's an old, and I might screw this up, so I'll apologize if I do, but there's an old teaching, and I think it's an Arabic teaching, of the expression is dying 1,000 deaths. Okay, and what that means is that you're afraid of something and you just imagine these terrible scenarios of what if. What if I open up? What if they find out?
and there's a part of you that imagines these horrible things happening. And over, you've probably experienced it, the worry, what if this, what if that? And then almost invariably, but sometimes you're kind of right, but most of the time, the vast majority of the time, things are never nearly as bad as you were afraid they were going to be once you get there. You don't know who is going to respond to you in a way that you don't expect. Think about this for a second. You have a message. Every one of us does. Every one of us has something to say that somebody needs to hear. But let's just say that there's someone that you didn't want to reveal yourself to because maybe they're your next door neighbor and you see them all the time and you've chit-chatted about barbecue stuff or, cars or mowing lawns or just, standard things. And you've been afraid to let them know, oh, by the way, I'm psychic, or whatever. And then one day you're in a conversation or they overhear something or in some way it slips and they hear you and they go, I've been wanting to talk to somebody about this. I've been afraid to say anything. Can we talk? You know how often that happens? All the freaking time. By the way, that's called a divine appointment. You have two people who are ready and they connect and then they're talking. But you're holding back, maybe helping another person to continue to hold back. Now, I do not advocate for people to go, oh, I'm just going to let the world know who I am. This is who I am. You can take it or leave it. We have families to maintain. We know that there are times that it's appropriate to talk about things and other times it's appropriate to just let them go. I don't engage in politics, for example. However, I'm very well aware of what's happening in the world. But if I am in with a group of people who need to angrily be expressing their political views and it goes into a really ugly, negative thing, for the most part, I'd never be there in the first place because I would see the energy coming. But I just set a boundary and I don't do that. But I refuse to live my life in fear of somebody finding out who I am. I used to be. And I finally this question came to my mind one day. Why am I afraid of revealing myself to someone who doesn't really want to know who I really am? Why do I want to maintain a relationship with somebody who is comfortable with me being in a role? But if they find out who I really am and it conflicts with the role they want me to be in, that they'll reject me. Well, believe it or not, you've rejected yourself on their behalf. You've just done their job not their job, but you've just done for them what you were afraid that they were going to do. So you have to decide, well, if it's a job and Spirit is telling you it's time to move on. The story I was starting to tell about my mentor when we got cut off earlier was that she moved on from some executive, high-profile positions when Spirit said it's time to move on. This is a person who had a lot at stake professionally, who said, Spirit's calling me to go and teach. And she said, that's it. I've spent a good run, but I'm leaving. And I'm sure there were people who thought that she was necking futz. But I'm glad she did because she ended up being my mentor and it changed my life. So you never know. You never know whose life you're going to impact. You never know. But being authentically you is the only way to be in balance. And if you're not that, then you're always struggling.
So great, Jess. I'm glad it helped. And she was saying she had that experience with her neighbors.
Yes, I know.
So I didn't know if you had seen it, but yeah.
I did. I knew. I was using that as the example because it's a perfect story to illustrate that point.
Yes.
And by the way, she brought that person to a circle and that person was delightful. So, I mean, it's a good story.
Oh, you that story already. Okay. And I had Sandra, are you still here? Let me pull this up. Because Sandra let me go back to. Okay, Sandra has the next question. Yep. All right. How to get started inspired spirit writing?
Okay. There's a long answer and a short one. I'm going to give you the short one first. You pick up a pen, a piece of paper, and you start writing simple questions. You start a conversation. You just write down, this is whatever's coming to me in the moment is what I'm going to write down. And you can ask, what do I need to know that's for my highest and best? I would suggest clearing your space first. Go ahead and close your eyes and clear and ground and ask for the divine guidance. Ask for protection from any of your self-deception or outside influences that are trying to, influence you, which is usually through some fear-based thing. And then just start writing as if you are talking to the wisest person who knows you best. There are classes that I teach on this, and that will be the book that I have coming out in the fall. It's going to be a book that has a very clear, fast path to get you right into the technique, and then the rest of the book will go into some expanded things. But to get into the actual practice, I'm going to keep it bone dead simple. So, yeah, you can take my class. It will be online. But really, what you do is you sit down and you sincerely ask questions and you listen for the answer and don't judge it. Just write down what comes to you.
And I do that, and I love the answers, and they just keep writing. So
yeah,
it works. It works when you do the intention. And today I try to keep this. Okay, I'm not sure why I posted that, but John Peter, if you're still here, please post your question. We do have a couple minutes. However, Sandra says she's taking notes. All right, what was the other thing here? Harley, I don't know why you're doing this, but if you don't do well with rejection, isn't it easier for one to reject themselves rather than by someone else? Perhaps subconsciously, this is why it is done by one.
Done by one. Yeah, that's, I understand.
Okay.
If you don't do well with rejection, isn't it easier to reject yourself? I would say that when you aren't dealing with rejection, you are stepping out of your power and your truth, because you're trying to conform. You're trying to blend in or fit in or whatever. And again, I'm not saying be militant and it's got to be my way or nothing, But I am saying that when you give up your power and someone else can control what you allow yourself, not only to express, but feel yourself, your own awareness of your own truth. We're afraid sometimes to even look at that. That is self-rejection. And it's insidious, sneaky. It gets in there and you think that you're just being reasonable. I need to function in the world. I don't want to rock the boat too much, et cetera, et cetera. You're not staying in your power. You are authentically who you are, whether you are accepting it or you aren't. You are who you are, so you might as well be that. That's a quote from Patrick Swayze, by the way, in a movie where he came back after he had died to help a family. And the same sort of question was being posed, what if they don't accept me? What if whatever? And his answer was, you might as well be who you really are. That's who you really are. So you might as well be that.
Yes.
And if people are going to reject you, that's one thing. If you're going to reject yourself, then you're staying out of your power. So, yeah. And by the way, if you are experiencing mental health issues, please seek mental health guidance. Don't just turn to spiritual guidance, psychics, or whatever. If you are genuinely experiencing mental disturbances where, all the way from I'm afraid everything's going to fall apart, or you have anxiety attacks, or all the way to suicide ideation, please do not just jump in and go, I need to get a reading. Please get help. And by the way, it's nothing to be ashamed of or embarrassed about. If you get hurt, you go to the doctor if you need to. If you like break a limb or something, you go get the bone set. if something has cracked in you psychologically, go get get some help, get some guidance, and get healthy. I know this wonderful person up here in Oregon. She's been a reader for many years, but she's been going through a lot. And she said, I've decided to get some, get some counseling. And she said, it's helping me. And she encourages people, if you're having trouble, get help. If you're rejecting yourself comprehensively, like you're just denying yourself your real place in life out of fear, I would talk to a counselor, because it's not fair. You're not being fair to yourself. And when you do that, you'll absolutely feel rejection from everyone else, because you don't know where you belong.
Yeah.
So get some help.
Oops, sorry. Went to go this one. And what Jess is saying, rejection
yes.
is God's protection.
Sometimes I get that. Sometimes it's spirit stepping in, and it's kind of like, I'm gonna do a bad metaphor, but it'll get the point across. You're driving down the road and you're in a hurry, and all of a sudden you get a slowpoke pull in front of you, and there's no way to get around that driver. And so they're going 10 miles under the speed limit, and then 15 under the speed limit, and the clock is ticking, and you're going to be late. And so your blood pressure is going up, and you're, come on. What you don't know is that spirit just put that car in front of you to make it so that you would be late for your own accident. Mm-hmm. And so sometimes what you're calling rejection, being God's protection, would be basically just what's happening to protect you from something that you need to, not be there for. But here's the thing, your higher self has already agreed to that.
They didn't explain it to you, but
yeah, they didn't explain it to your human mind, but your higher self knew what was going on. And by the way, you say God's protection, your higher self is actively protecting you. You also have guardian angels. You have, oh my gosh, we have teams. We have small armies of beings who are protecting us. But they're not going to override our choices. If we choose not to be protected, or we choose to reject ourselves, they're going to allow it, because to not do so violates spiritual law. They're going to follow that law.
And the next things I'm posting is all about the automatic writing and everyone's experiences. This is Jess's. I've written down in automatic writing before. What are you search for that you don't already see? I'm not sure.
What are you searching for that you don't already see? Again, the importance is to keep asking the question and listening for the authentic answers. So she's making a good point here that, what you search, what am I looking for that I haven't already seen, is one way to put it. I think it's one of the concerns I had, not so much now, but there was a time, was feeling that I was missing things, that I was missing important key elements of things as I was going through. So I would ask a variation of this question, what is it that I need to see that I'm missing? Same question, just posed a little differently, because I also don't want to bog myself down in a bunch of stuff that doesn't matter. My mind will always be, but this and that, but what is really important, and the mind doesn't have an answer for that. That's where it comes through your inspiration.
Okay. And this is a suggestion about brown noise while doing it at first if you don't like the quiet.
Yeah, there are different methods to take care of things. I also have tinnitus, and even during this conversation, I have a very quiet fan running on my desk in front of me right now, because it helps even out the sound quality of the atmosphere that I'm in. So yeah, if you need something to help soothe, some people like white noise, whatever. Yeah.
And then I've got Edward. This is his. Can automatic writing be done on phone as well, typing, or is it best on paper and pen? And Jess's reply to that is best with paper and pen, in my opinion.
That is a binary question. Is it or isn't it? And Jess answered it the way I would. In my opinion, I agree with Jess. that it would be best to do it that way, because you are using your body, you are directly in touch with the process, you're feeling it as you're doing it, and you actually, it's a different experience. I use my phone for documenting things. Sometimes I use my phone for drafting, doing compositions on my phone with a voice to text app that works better than the Google Voice thing does. But I would say for what I'm talking about, it's pen to paper.
And this is Edward, and I think this is about getting help. Yep. That's what I've been doing for the first time. I finally have another therapist, and sharing she has been helpful. And that one thing I did have to a resistance to, now I'm able to share the spiritual side with her. Beautiful.
That's good.
Congratulations on that.
Yeah.
Yes.
And again, it's overcoming a little bit of that blockage that we have that keeps us from being able to fully participate in our own lives. So good for you, Edward. Glad to hear it.
And exactly, Jess, don't shut up. Because she says they're going to shut up now. It's like, no, you're part of this too. Motion differently with brain. Yeah, dialogue is most important. Thank you for that.
Okay, so Neil Donald Walsh, who wrote Conversations with God, wrote it with a pen.
And it was Neil. What's his name?
Neil, Neale, Neil Donald Walsh, Conversations with God. It's one of the, it's a wonderful example of inspired spirit writing, where he's having a full-on conversation with spirit and getting answers to questions. In fact, it started off during a very rainy night in Ashland, Oregon. He had just lost his job. He'd finally fought his way out of homelessness. He was working at a radio station. He lost his job because they closed the doors. And here he was in the middle of the night, thunderstorm going on outside, and he had a yellow legal pad and a pen, and he was just scribbling furiously. He was so upset. And he asked, "Why does this keep happening to me?" Or something to that effect. And then this stillness came over him. This presence was suddenly there. And he felt guided to write these words. "Do you really want to know, or are you just venting?" And that began a conversation that turned into a book that was translated into 37 languages. You have direct access to all the information that you could ever want to receive. It's all there. None of it is denied. Pen and paper.
Yep. What was his middle name? I never got that one.
Donald.
Donald. I should have remembered that. No offense.
And last name is spelled Walsch. Walsh.
Instead of an SH, it's a CH. Got it.
FCH. Yeah.
Conversations, I think it was, but
Yes.
anyway. All right.
Plural. Yeah.
Yeah, plural. Sorry about that. I just typing it in. Got so many things going on. Well, thank you guys for coming in and the exchanges. I appreciate that. Jess, your input is always appreciated. Everyone's is appreciated. Edward, Sandra, trying to remember everyone. Victor, we always Harley. Yep. So everybody's important. John, Peter. So appreciate that. I appreciate you coming in. Lots of things going on in your life. Let me know. Send me texts or flyers or something so that I can post them on communication and connections to get that out, what you're doing.
Thank you. Okay.
And I mean, it's very important. And I think that Now, especially when you're doing your classes, we definitely need to know the time frame, everything we need to know to connect with you on those. I know a lot of the listeners would want to be a part of that, and I think Jess would be. It would be beneficial for Jess to be a part of that as well, even though she does a great job on her lives. Uh, if she's feeling this way, we know there's something that's blocking her, and she's got to figure out what that is. But I hope one of the things you do, Jess, is look in that mirror every morning and say, I love you, because you are a beautiful soul, such a beautiful soul. So please do not second guess yourself. You are fantastic.
Everybody has, we cover ourselves up to where we can't see it. And what you just said is for every one of us.
Yes.
And yes, I will follow up with you and let you know. There will be a wonderful reunion. I'm looking so forward to coming back to Phoenix at the end of the year and spending time with my family there, all of you.
And we call ourselves a community, but we are a family. We are a soul family connected with the one. So we appreciate each and every one of you. It's been great. I mean, I've heard things differently than you have, than you spoke on Karen's show. So I appreciate that. And your passion, it shines through. I love that. Your story with Mez, just 2 words, and that's all it took.
Find
And
Ms. Yes.
yes, and not push it to the side. I mean,
Listen to your truth. You can feel it. You know when you hear truth, you know when it's inside of you, it's expressing itself. And you know when you're trying to second guess it because the mind is noisy and based in fear. It's afraid of whatever. But your truth is just the truth. You can hear it. You know what it is. Don't be afraid of it.
yes. Will you be back before December 17th?
Yes.
Okay. So that's,
It's your birthday.
will you be here on his birthday? I'm going to ask that question for him.
Not sure if we're going to stay. I think so. I think we're going to probably try to stay about 3 weeks, but we'll see. We'll see. There's, I don't see a reason why we wouldn't, but you know how that goes. There's the plan. This is something my teacher taught me years and years ago. There's your plan, which is the word plan in lowercase, small letters, PLAN. And then there's the plan, which is the capital letters, the plan. And so what I say is that your plan is something that you give your mind to focus on while the plan is being formed. So you think you know what's going on, but be willing to go with what actually presents.
Yeah. And I've got to put that in for some reason. They're saying to put that in. Oops.
The plan is
The plan versus the plan.
your plan versus the plan. And by the way, the plan, big letters, the plan is the collaboration between you and spirit. It's never something that's imposed or dumped upon you. It is something that you co-create.
And I love that again, co-create.
Yes.
I love that. It's very important because it's not somebody dictating to you.
Never.
You're part of this.
If you feel somebody's dictating to you and wagging their finger, challenge it. Challenge it. Yeah. And whose name? It's not my name. Who's saying this? Why is this, not even why, just what's going on here? Because you can feel the truth. So just insist on truth. Insist on what's best for you, highest and best.
So what is the very next thing you've got going on?
In terms of what we're talking about, it's forming the online circle to have the place for us to meet online and work together on practicing our skill sets, our metaphysical skills, psychic and mediumship development.
Okay. And I'd like to also invite you again to the Psychic Squad on Tuesday nights. let me know. I'll send you the link so you can.
Okay. Yeah, please do. I have no idea what you're talking about. So yes, I'd like to know more.
We've been talking about it for years. Anyway,
I haven't been, I obviously was thinking about something else. See, the mind, it just got in the way.
yeah. So that way, I mean, you've been to Tina's class.
Yeah.
So Dawn, A5 says, Angie, Kina, her sister, and Tanisha started this other part called Just Spiritually Speaking and turned into Tuesday night class. And we call it the Psychic Squad. So that's what I'm inviting you to. And all of you are invited to come as well. I know that I think Jess has been there once. So, and she has kids, so it's a little harder for her to get to, but yes. And Harley is part of it. So yes, I will share that with you too, Edward. Okay, anybody else? All right. So as a parting words, what do you have for everyone here?
This is the basis of everything I'm doing now. And that is, please do not be afraid to be who you really are. There's someone out there who needs to hear what you have to say. You have a message. Someone needs to hear it. Don't be afraid of who you are so that they can hear from you what they need to hear.
Thank you very much. And
Been a pleasure.
I will see you guys on Friday, and you too, Michael. I'm sure you'll be in and out maybe. Thank you guys so much for coming in today. Made this a success. I will have the clips up as soon as I can. And we will see you next time. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Julie. Thanks, everyone. All right.
And I'll be back with you in just a second once I do this.